Hello everyone, and welcome back to Dragalia Foundry, a fan channel where everything Dragalia Lost can be found. Today's video is all about one specific adventurer, Alain. In case you missed this in my last character spotlight, I'm going to keep going through 3 stars until I've covered at least one of each element, and then I will start to mix in some 4-star adventurers as well. This time around, Alain took down runner-up Nicholas. If you are rooting for Nicholas, don't worry though. I'm going to try to get through every character I've summoned eventually. But for now, let's discuss Alain. Wait, did he just run off?
Will I be able to get away in time?
Alain, we're doing your spotlight video, remember? Sorry everyone, give me a second to round him up.
I was too slow to react. I missed my chance to retreat.
Okay, here goes. Alain, Captain Craven is a 3-star Flame Element Lance Defender, and immediately this stands out, because Alain is both the only defense unit in the Flame Pool and the only Lance wielder. And in case you were wondering why he ran off a moment ago, well, his description reads, a strangely determined knight who specializes in retreating through detailed preparation and planning. He views fleeing not as cowardice, but rather his own unique approach to war. This is definitely a unique character trait to emphasize, and one I wouldn't have expected to be the central focus of any adventurer in Dragalia Lost. So before Alain retreats yet again, let's talk about him from a gameplay perspective. First, let's look at Alain's stats and abilities. As a 3-star adventurer, these are going to be a bit weaker than what you'd find on a 4-star or 5-star, but they're generally not bad. Alain's one unique ability is Last Defense, which grants a temporary self-buff to defense of 40 or 50% once per quest, the first time his HP falls to 30% or less. His affliction resistance is to stun, with 25% available as a 3-star, 50% as a 4-star, and 75% through a third ability as a 5-star. Stun resistance is nice for Midgard Stormer or High Midgard Stormer, and speaking of the latter, Alain's Last Defense is virtually guaranteed to activate immediately in that matchup after tanking the initial attack. More on that application in a moment. As for stats, as a defense unit, Alain's skew toward HP and away from strength. His offensive output is low. In fact, Alain's max strength is the lowest of any flame unit, but his max HP is respectable, edging out Makoto's. In the end, Alain ranks 6 for HP within the Flame Pool before factoring in his HP co-ability. And regarding that co-ability, well, there are a few neat things to point out. First of all, the more hits your party is expected to take over the course of a match, the more you'll prefer defense as a co-ability rather than HP. That's because defense mitigates the damage of each hit taken, while more HP merely gives your team a bigger reservoir against which to absorb hits. On the other hand, however, HP is relevant to how healing is calculated, whereas defense is not. It's believed that the healing formula takes 60% of the user's HP to calculate the healing amount, among other factors. So HP is a useful co-ability on team compositions that run a healer. All of this said, with an HP co-ability combined with Alain's decent stun res, he's actually somewhat feasible for a challenge like High Midgard Swarmer. It's definitely going to be difficult, but it is doable if Alain is your favorite unit. The extra HP from his co-ability will help your team survive the initial hit, and increase the healing provided by Verica. The biggest issue is, your other 2 teammates will need to deal reliable damage, since both Alain and Verica will need help to shore up their lower attack. I definitely think you're in for a challenge if you go this route, but if you love Alain, all I'm saying is, it's possible. For all other purposes, Alain functions just fine without being promoted. His kit doesn't change so much once a 4-star or 5-star, nor do his skills gain any secondary effects. Let's take a look at those skills now. Alain is fortunate to have 2 attacking skills. It makes him straightforward to play, and allows him to take full advantage of Wormprints that boost skill damage. Both of Alain's skills provide around 1.2 seconds of invincibility frames, long enough to dodge an attack, but short enough not to get caught in a purple AoE. And Alain's first skill takes around 2 basic combos to charge, while his second skill takes around 4. Neither of his skills are particularly noteworthy, but the latter skill is excellent for clearing out mobs. Now let's take a look at some gameplay. I have 2 matches to show you today. The first is a solo clear of Imperial Onslaught on normal difficulty. Despite Alain's lack of sleep res, being a tank, he's great for crowded maps with small foes, so I do like him on this map quite a lot. The second match will be against Midgard Stormer on Master difficulty, where I'll bring Yuden along, since Alain lacks the damage output to take Midgard Stormer down on his own. In the meantime, I'll talk about how I'd suggest building Alain. I won't be discussing his competition this time, since there are no other defense or lance units in the flame pool. The closest thing Alain has to competition is probably someone like the 4-star Flame Axe Vanessa with her defense co-ability, or the 5-star Halloween Elisanne, since as a light lance, she has no weaknesses and can be run on any team comp. For Worm Prince, I think there is a clear best pick for Alain, Valiant Crown, since its skill damage enhances his 2 attacking skills, and its double buff will activate whenever Alain's innate last defense triggers. Sisters of the Anvil is a more accessible choice along the same lines, since it also has strength double buff, but it's unfortunate that its second ability, Stun Res, is only for 20%. Still not enough to get Alain to completely resist stun, even once fully promoted. For that reason, I prefer Plunder Pals as a budget pick for those who don't have Valiant Crown. And if Plunder Pals is starting to seem ubiquitous in these videos, it's honestly because it's just that good. Of course, if you are determined to take Alain to High Midgard Stormer, well, you're probably going to be stuck with Glorious Tempest as a worm print for the time being. For dragons, I think Alain is fairly flexible. My favorite is probably Cerberus, since she helps with Alain's low attack and can also debuff the enemy. But once balanced dragons are added to the flame pool, those could be interesting for Alain as well. I also quite like Phoenix, so long as other team members can help Alain with dealing damage. Phoenix's heals benefit from Alain's high HP, and she is especially nice to use after Alain's last defense has already activated, to restore him to full force. For weapons, early on I prefer the 4-star Ironside Lance, since it has an attack skill, even if this can't be upgraded into an Elemental Flame version. My favorite pick though at 5-star is the Compass Needle. This provides a 3rd attack skill, and if you decide to go all the way with Alain, its enhanced path also leads to the 5-star Flame Elemental Lance. The lance as a weapon type is nice for spacing and kiting enemies, thanks to its long reach, and hopefully Alain will become even better once the lance receives its incoming buff. And finally, for teammates, there are a lot of ways to go with Alain. As a close-range fighter, he can take some of the pressure off a healer like Verica, who herself enjoys extra HP from Alain's co-ability. If you want an especially tanky team, you can also run the aforementioned Vanessa, who's technically an attacker, which will help with Alain's damage output, yet has a defense up co-ability since she wields an axe. And as these battles draw to a close, I'll play Alain's first encounter chapter for a peek into his story. To close my analysis, let me say this. Overall, I like Alain. He's a unique unit, being the only flame lance available so far. He's easy to build, thanks to his 2 attacking skills, and that means a lot of your success with Alain will come down to fundamentals, timing your skills to avoid enemy attacks, dodging properly, and kiting bosses to give your team the space needed to succeed. Alain's last defense is a decent ability, but not universally useful. Think of it more as a bonus rather than a key feature when using Alain, and don't count on it coming into play in many matches, since even when it does activate, it only does so once. Alain's biggest weakness is certainly his low strength, so remember, you'll need to bring along strong teammates to compensate for this on timed maps.
It's almost over. Defeat and retreat, friends.
Alright, and that's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoy the rest of Alain's first chapter, and I'd love to know what you think of him in the comments below. I definitely had a lot of fun playing as him for this video, and I appreciate the turn his story takes. If you want to see even more Dragalia Lost character analysis, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a beat. Either way, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.